Republicans have been pussyfooting around this in Congress and in the Senate and some of these antitrust suits that were just never really the right vehicle to go after Twitter, Facebook, Google. Well, you got to leave it up to the orange man down there in Florida and just take a look for normies to be freaking out about this until Ron DeSantis pops up and decides that, yeah, and you know what, this is a good idea. Then all of them will be, oh God, he's so good. He's Trump light, kids, okay? He's the perfect guy to come in afterwards. I've been saying this before and I'll say it again. I really like Ron DeSantis. He's just the perfect cleanup guy after the bull runs through the china shop to just rebuild everything, just have a little bit nicer of a fucking veneer. But nobody has the destructive power and the capabilities and the name recognition of Trump. You can like DeSantis. That's fine. If he runs and Trump doesn't in 2024, even though it looks highly unlikely at this point, I'll be one of his biggest supporters. I'll be the big old cheerleader. But Vice President DeSantis, okay, he could learn a lot from Trump. He can get a little bit more loquacious and verbose. Learn some of the tactics. He's getting there. He's close. He's still a couple of years off, and he can set up the infrastructure around there. Perhaps he's a little bit better at that than Trump is. Don't take that as a swipe. That's just the facts. A lot of normies like to think that, oh, Trump couldn't win again in 2024. Ron DeSantis is their only way out there, and he'll actually tackle the problems. Just look where he takes all of his fucking talking points, okay? He's just doing the Trump 2016 campaign fucking rigmarole. That's all he's doing. It's not a bad thing. It's in fact quite a good thing. Just have a memory that's a little bit better than a fucking goldfish, okay? Cool. Trump announces major class action lawsuit against Twitter, Facebook, and Google. Over what, you ask? Well, the mass deplatforming. And why would he set a mass class action lawsuit? Because they acted like a cartel, okay? What did Trump do to get thrown off of those platforms? I don't know. And especially with all of the investigations that have gone on proving that he did, well, pretty much nothing to really justify this horrific treatment. I'd say that this is the fucking game changer. This is the one that is going to end up rattling the cages more so than anything else. Former President Donald Trump announced Wednesday he is filing lawsuits against Twitter, Facebook, and Google and the firms that suspended his social media accounts 6 months ago over his comments after the January 6th Capitol incident. Yeah, when he said, go home with peace and love. We love you all. Yeah. Really incited an insurrection there. Speaking from his property in Bedminster, New Jersey, Trump and his team said the lawsuits are about protecting the First Amendment right to free speech. They argued that his rights were denied and that the three big tech companies banned him. Trump described the major lawsuits as a very beautiful development to protect free speech in the United States. The suits will be filed in U.S. District Court to the Southern District of Florida and will ask a judge to order an immediate halt to social media companies' alleged shadow banning, censoring, blacklisting, and canceling of people who express political viewpoints outside the mainstream. Good. One thing that we got to find out is who are the lawyers that are filing this, okay, and if they are any good, because one thing about Trump, he doesn't necessarily put the best people around him, mostly because he likes to hire on the cheap. That's why the guy who ran his campaign with the election lawsuits was somebody who really hadn't practiced in that field specifically of election integrity, or somebody who really hadn't practiced law in like 25, 30 fucking years in Giuliani. Great guy, big name, but that's what Trump got tangled up in, the name recognition of it. It doesn't really play out in front of the courts. You need to get somebody cerebral, somebody who is active, somebody who has a history in doing this type of stuff. Somebody who actually has a spine and the fucking cojones to get it done. It is destroying the country, Trump said in social media's alleged control over political discourse. I couldn't agree more. Twitter, Facebook, and Google said in January they banned Trump over his claims and the November 3rd election was stolen and alleged he contributed to the January 6th violence. Twitter executives have said Trump's ban will be permanent. Facebook imposed a 2-year ban, then went back, looked at their policies, realized, oh fuck, what can we charge him with? We'll just kick it down the road for another 2 years. So maybe, ahead of the 2024 election, you can get back on. Go fuck yourself. And Google owned YouTube and said it would curtail his suspension until it has determined if a risk of violence has decreased. How are you going to quantify that whatsoever? And what kind of violence would he be inciting by putting up fucking boomer clips? I don't get it. It's like right side broadcasting. Every time that they go out there and they just try to put one of the Trump rallies out there, they either have their feed fucking throttled to all hell, or they just get their channel banned right in front of the next one. They don't want you to hear Trump talk, okay? Because you remember, it wasn't even that long ago, and I don't want to sound like I'm bagging on DeSantis, and that's why I had the disclaimer at the beginning. But, oh yeah, DeSantis, oh yeah, he eclipsed Trump in the popularity polls for 2024, and yeah, he's definitely going to be the candidate there. And then all of those polls just decidedly got way out of fashion as soon as Trump went back up to Ohio, and then he had the rally in Florida over the weekend, and all of a sudden his popularity and his name recognition is back up in there. Everybody knows what the fuck he's talking about. He's hitting on all of the points. He's drawing massive crowds that nobody else could draw whatsoever. And all of a sudden, yeah, he's once again the fucking overwhelming frontrunner. The man speaks, people show up, people want to vote for him and support him, even 3 years fucking out. And that's why all three of those assholes there, all three of those guys who couldn't draw a pussy by memory, want to get rid of him. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg, Google CEO Sundar Pichai, and Twitter CEO Rasputin, Jack Dorsey, were named in the lawsuits, as well as the companies themselves. Trump said the lawsuits will try to compel the court to award him punitive damages over the suspension. Yeah, and overturn all this shit in the process. Because there's a lot of bills out there right now in either the House or the Senate or different committees that want to go together and either figure out a way to deal with the 230 immunities, or maybe be like Bill Haggerty, who wants to make these platforms common carriers like your energy companies out there, which I think is probably the smartest way, and eventually, if given enough time, that's where they're going to end up. But it's just like a scattershot effort right now. Nobody's really on the same page, and this one right here is at least going to focus everybody's pressure on, because, well, it's Trump. It's his name. It's not one of those, one of the 48 lawsuits that got tossed out about the election. Yeah, well, how many of those lawsuits actually had Trump's name at the top of it, and they weren't filed on his behalf by some fucking whack jobs? Trump argued the social media companies have ceased to be private companies and cited the Section 230 protection shield that such firms employed to protect themselves from liability. Republicans have argued that the federal rule has allowed big tech firms to censor their political opponents, while some have gone further, arguing that social media giants should be regulated as utilities. Just make them open for everybody. Or fucking close them all down. I don't give a shit. At this point, I'll go stack boxes. I don't give a flying fuck. Section 230 of the 1996 Communications Decency Act allows internet companies to be generally exempt from liability for materials that users post. The law, which provides a legal safe harbor for internet companies, allows social media platforms to moderate their services by removing posts that, for instance, are obscene or violate the service's own standards. Yes, as long as they are acting in good faith. And that little clause there, or otherwise objectionable content, right at the end of it, okay? Other than getting rid of obviously illegal material that's on there, okay, you gotta get rid of that. Stuff that is rather heinous and would just have a full outright ban, okay, you gotta get rid of that as well. Like, Gab, you can't post any porn, which is totally fucking fine, okay? Because you can be as willy-nilly with the rules as Twitter is. Like, you could have fucking Bobs and Vagine just rolling down your fucking feed, and then all of a sudden you'll have a kid porn pic pop up. Because remember, Jack Dorsey loves and monetizes child pornography. Trump's lawyers said the lawsuit will focus on the provisions of Section 230, which they argued were created in the 1990s to protect children from harmful content online. Yep. It was all about forums and message boards out there that are long since out of date, okay? It makes Reddit look like a fucking monumental leap forward. It's a big enough leap that you could fit most of their users' big brains over, or big guts, those fucking basement-dwelling trolls. In the way which big tech firms currently use the law as a shield, his team argued, oversteps what is originally intended to do. They're not immune anymore, lawyer Pam Bondi said. Meanwhile, the former president also appeared to preempt his opponents' criticism of the lawsuit, arguing that mainstream media outlets and Democrat politicians are the biggest spreader of disinformation. Where's the lie? Trump described mainstream narratives around Republicans wanting to defund the police, the Russian collusion claims, see previous video, and COVID-19 as false. Yeah, exactly. All you need to do is just take a look at what Jen Psaki's talking about when it's being brought up that whole jackboots, door-to-door brown shirt campaign that they're going to be running to make sure that everybody's got the jab. And she's like, no, that's just the far right talking point right now because nobody's going around. They're not going to be jabbing needles in your arms, ... yet. But yeah, no, it's all one fucking step at a time, okay? Does anybody think that that's really out of the fucking realm of possibility at this point? Like, we're living in that timeline where things could get that fucked up. During his news conference on Wednesday, Trump accused the federal government of using Facebook, Twitter, and Google as its de facto censorship arm. Again, where's the lie? During the COVID-19 pandemic. Oh, you could have just stopped it there, Trump. Like, for everything. One claim that was censored, he added, was the assertion that COVID-19 emerged from the virology lab in the Wuhan. But earlier this year, President Joe Biden said many members of the U.S. intelligence community now view the theory as viable. Yeah, no, if you were talking about that beforehand, oh boy, were you depersoned faster than really, well, somebody working for the Trump campaign. But now all of a sudden, because Fauci's emails get out there, oh yeah, no, we're definitely taking that seriously. I got a 90-day, one of them probes out there, not the ones that go in your butt, but the ones that go over to the China, and we're going to make a big list of things that go on there, and I want it in big, bold, block letters and crayon because I like the different colors on my probes, So they're taking it super serial, guys. So yeah, we'll see where this lawsuit goes for the time being and do a little bit of digging on Pam Bondi because the name sounds familiar and some of the information out there right now, mostly it's just all flooded with just more reprints of this story as well. So it's tough to get a grasp on who she is, what her law firm is, what her background is, but if they're going to be going in on 230, this is the time, okay? And this could be the lawsuit because there's one justice sitting up there in the Supreme Court who's like, yep, it's about time. It's about time we take a look at that 230. He's been writing opinions forever, and he is, in fact, the de facto Chief Justice. But let's see what other intelligent takes there are out there because I'm optimistic about this one because this is going to be the big one. And apparently Alan Dershowitz also agrees. Trump's big tech lawsuit will shake things up considerably. He hasn't been wrong about much. Wednesday on Newsmax TV's National Report, Harvard law professor emeritus Alan Dershowitz reacted to former President Donald Trump announcing a class action lawsuit against all of our previously named friends. Dershowitz, who shared he is deeply involved in the issue of censorship and was asked to be an expert witness, predicted the lawsuit will shake things up considerably. He said the censorship by big tech is unacceptable and inconsistent with the spirit of free speech. As you know, I wrote a book about the exact subject, the case against the new censorship protecting free speech from big tech. So I'm deeply involved in the issue, and so I was asked to be an expert witness. I did submit an affidavit for this lawsuit, so I'm not simply an observer. That's good. That is great news. He's a part of this one. This is a very, very important lawsuit. This is going to be, going on with high tech is unacceptable. It's inconsistent with the spirit of free speech that underlies our First Amendment. This is a complicated case because the president pointed out, as Pam Bondi pointed out, and the others pointed out, more people are pointing. These are not just ordinary private companies. They have special exemption under 230 and therefore they partake in some kind of government action. The courts will have to parse the issue. How much of what they do is private? How much of what they do partakes of being public? Well, we don't want the government telling private companies what they can say and what they can do. That would be wrong. We don't want these crazy public, enormous, monopolistic companies to be restricting our free speech. The current situation is unacceptable, and this lawsuit, I think, will shake things up considerably, though I can't predict in the end how it will come out. Yeah, because there's a lot of red tape, and a lot of people don't want to fucking rock the boat on this issue, because it could, on one hand, open up Pandora's box, where you got the Wild West of the internet, and because it's way different than when 230 was written in 1996, kicking the barn doors open could be potentially very detrimental because of how integrated the internet is with, well, all of society at this point. But then at the same time, the censorship noose is only getting tighter, and it's only going in one fucking direction, because we've seen something that could have been, thrown out there as being, hey, look, we're not actually just going after one side, with Right-Wing Watch getting temporarily banned there for a couple of hours and then bitching and moaning and then reminding the people that are in charge, hey, we're on your side, so go ahead and reinstall our account here on YouTube, that it's really just the right being silenced, okay? Or whatever they want to classify as being the right, because there's a bunch of people out there who wouldn't traditionally espouse conservative values, which at this point is tough to define, but for the sake of brevity, You have different podcasts out there just probing and wondering, okay, what the fuck can we talk about? Because the moment you broach any topic out there, whether it be COVID-19, questioning if Joe Biden is the most popular person to have ever walked on the face of the earth, you get nuked. Everywhere. Your voice gets censored, it gets shadow banned, it gets suppressed, and they don't tell you why, and they don't tell you how you can avoid doing it in the future. Because personally, what is it, 15 fucking videos on my account have been removed off YouTube. Do I have any information as to why? Well, you broke the very nebulous 2020 election integrity policy. Okay, where did it do that? You broke the 20... Okay, we get it. Okay. Oh, you got a hard strike on your channel. Why is that? Oh, you broke our misinformation on medical information policy. Okay, where did I do that? You broke the okay, we get it. We get it. Okay, how, why? Okay, the only thing that I can identify is I said Texas dropped their mask mandate and their numbers are changing. What do you want to do about that? Get rid of it. Okay, it was 5 seconds out of a 24-minute video. Oh. And it wasn't even central to the point that I was trying to make. Nope, it's got to all go. It's got to all go. So yeah, I don't define the rules. Get rid of 230. I don't care. Just do something, because this is untenable. And right now, this is probably as good as it's going to get, because everything just keeps fucking getting worse. And we all kind of anticipated that, because that's what you were going to get with the Biden presidency. More censorship, more government out there. And the SEALs were just going to clap. And the people who stuck their head out in order to speak against this kind of stuff, they were going to get the fucking scythe, regardless or not. So I'm glad Trump's doing something. Fucking hop on a social media platform and fucking raise one of these fucking middling platforms from irrelevance to at least something that could challenge out there. Pick Gab, pick Parler, pick your fucking buddy's Getter account. I don't give a shit. Something. Fucking, we dying over here. Because that blog, oh boy, wasn't that popular. It wasn't a travesty to try to get on every day. Well, let's talk about Canada. Speaking of travesties, next. Thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Dog Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Catch y'all later.